Welcome back to another video. Yes, if you're wondering why I'm already a bit of a mess, this is the second intro because the music's too loud. Conventional gyms, what can you do? So today is part 2 of leg day, and today we are doing glutes and hammies. I'm already exhausted, so if this intro, if I look exhausted, I'm halfway through the session and it's horrible. So, as always, I'll give you the warm-up, main workout, and the WOD at the end. And don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Now, disclaimer, before I get a lot of people writing things, nothing new about these exercises. It's just the way I like to do them, so keep that in mind. So first things first, of course, we're going to start with the warm-up. Starting with some warm-ups before the session, as always. I did spend 5 minutes on the bike first, and then onto some hip band glute activation. Remember, this is a posterior chain workout, so we want to make sure to prep our glutes and hamstrings before the session. Put the hip band around your ankle rather than your knees for better glute activation. In my opinion, one of the best ways to make sure to get some glute and hamstrings activation is a kettlebell swing. Using a light kettlebell. If you don't have a kettlebell, you can also use dumbbells, as you can see in the video. You want to make sure that you are fully extending at the hip when you come up and really engage your glute and hamstrings with every swing. In simpler terms, you want to squeeze your hamstrings and glutes like it owes you money every time you swing the kettlebell or the dumbbell up. After this, you should definitely feel your glute and hamstrings come alive and ready for the session. And just like the first leg session, we will be pre-fatiguing the muscle slightly before going into the heavier lift. So we'll be starting with some standing leg curls. This is one of my favorite exercises to perform for hamstrings. I like to lean forward slightly as this engages my hamstrings before curling the weight and making sure to squeeze my glutes. With every single one of these exercises in the video, you want to make sure before performing any of the movements you engage, or in simpler terms, squeeze your glutes, which will then automatically engage your lower back and your hamstrings. Really squeeze your hamstrings as hard as you can and hold that contraction during the eccentric phase of the movement, as in when going down. Make sure to focus on a nice and controlled tempo throughout the exercise. The last set will also be a drop set, but make sure you maintain the tempo given because we want to keep the muscle under tension for longer. I have mentioned so many times in all my bodybuilding videos, time under tension is key. As always, all the tempos are written in the video. Next is a Romanian deadlift. This is one of the best exercises for developing your hamstrings and your glutes, as well as strengthening your lower back. Before you perform the exercise, you want to make sure that you engage your lats and keep your shoulders back. We want to keep a nice straight back when performing this exercise. Make sure to brace and engage your core, and make sure to bend your knees, and when going down, stop just below the knees. So the barbell passes just below the knees. You don't need to go any further than that. One thing I like to do before performing the exercise is squeeze my glutes first. This will then also engage my lower back and also hamstrings. Then, just like the leg curl, make sure you squeeze your hamstrings and glutes as hard as you can during the eccentric phase of the exercise. Keep squeezing till you come all the way back up. I know this sounds weird, but trust me, it's absolutely brutal. Try this with a very light weight to start before progressing to a heavier weight. Again, tempo is key, so try and control the eccentric phase as much as possible, even when the weights get very heavy. Also, the last set is a drop set, which is a lot of fun. Okay, so quickly wanted to let you all know that this workout was taken from my new CrossLifter training program, which is on my new app, which comes with an awesome 12-week program, as well as my nutrition guide and tips. There are also other training programs, which include a dumbbell only training program, mobility workouts, kettlebell workouts, and very soon a metabolic conditioning program with video demos to guide you through each and every one of the workouts. I'm really excited about this app and I know that you guys would love it. The best part is you also get your first month for $1. Yep, that's right, just $1. And then it's $14.99 afterwards. Check out the link in the description box to get involved. Superset the RDL with some dumbbell Cossack squats. This exercise is one of my favorites and a staple in my leg workouts. Pay careful attention to the video. Notice how I have my legs wide and toes pointing outwards. Having the dumbbell in a goblet forces you to keep your chest up, and again make sure you engage your core and glutes before lunging down to the working leg. When coming back up, make sure to focus on driving your feet down to the floor, almost like you want to push the floor away from you. When you lunge down to the side, you want your hips parallel to your knees or slightly lower. Again, this will all depend on your mobility. The great thing about this exercise is you can go as heavy as you want, but be warned, it is a superset. This will feel absolutely brutal. So just like the RDL, start light, then build up your working weight. Next exercise is a barbell hip thrust. This is another staple in my routine and one of the best for building your hamstrings and glutes, as well as strengthening your lower back when done properly, and emphasis on when done properly. Making sure to keep your feet just about as wide as your hip. Before performing the movement, again, make sure to engage your glutes and brace your core. Then try and drive your feet down to the floor to then extend your hips up. And make sure you control the tempo on the eccentric. This is very important. A few tips when performing this exercise. Try and think about breaking the floor with your feet when driving up. Trust me, it sounds weird, but it makes sense when you perform the exercise. One thing I like to do is have my toes up and drive my heels down, as this gives me a lot more contraction on my hamstrings and glutes at the top of the exercise. Try this with a light weight first, so maybe even just a barbell, and then you will see exactly what I mean. Try and keep your chin down rather than looking up to avoid straining your neck. Finally, I know I don't have to remind you, but just in case, make sure you squeeze your glutes and hamstrings at the top of the movement like it owes you money. Every single rep. Hold it at the top for about a second and squeeze as hard as you can, and make sure to keep that tension even when going back down. Keep doing this till you complete all the reps. Also, you might notice that I am not going all the way down to the floor. That's because I want to keep that tension constantly throughout when performing the exercise. So this isn't a dead stop hip thrust movement. Honestly, if you apply all these tips to your hip thrust, it will be an absolute game changer and you will probably hate me afterwards. Then superset the hip thrust with a split stance RDL. Very similar to the barbell RDL, except this time we are targeting the hamstrings and glutes unilaterally to make sure we are working them equally and avoiding imbalances. As you can see, the working leg is the one in front, whilst the back leg is there for support. Keep your shoulders back and lats engaged. Make sure to brace your core and squeeze your glutes before you hinge down. Make sure to keep squeezing your glutes and hamstrings during the eccentric and stop just below your knees. This exercise, it's all about controlling the tempo on both the eccentric and concentric phase of the movement. The last exercise will be deficit reverse lunges. This is a great unilateral exercise to develop your hamstrings and glutes, and by performing it at a deficit, it increases range of motion and makes this exercise even more challenging. Now, what do you have to do before performing the movement? Yes, that's right. Brace your core, keep your chest up, and engage your glutes. If you notice at the top of the movement, I am doing something strange with my hips, and I'm contracting my glutes at the top when I come back up from the lunge. I do this every single rep. And of course, we have a lovely metcon to finish, nice and simple. 60-second standing bike on the hardest dampener or setting on whatever bike you use, and making sure, just like the leg curl, to lean forward slightly on the bike to make sure to re-engage my hamstrings and glutes when pedaling. 15 dumbbell deadlifts, 12 box step overs. Nice and simple, but very tasty. You are going to have fun with this one. Yeah. And that's it. That's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I am so hungry. I was just like, let me change first before filming the outro. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, as I've explained this before, if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up. It helps my channel massively, and loads more people get to see my awesome, incredible, what else?
Not much.
Yeah, so loads of people get to see my content, and it helps me out. So don't forget, also, if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Any questions, leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.